IvyLearn has a new gradebook that was recently made available. Before you decide whether you're going to switch to the new gradebook in your classes, there are a few things that you should know. First and foremost, once that new gradebook has been turned on, it cannot be turned off. As we're going through the new gradebook, keep in mind that once you opt to turn this feature on, you will be using it for the remainder of the semester. In this video, we're going to review some of the features and options that are available in the new gradebook, and we're going to talk about some of the benefits and potential pitfalls of making this switch. Let's start by clicking on the Grades link in the course navigation menu. Across the top of the gradebook, there are 5 areas. From left to right, they are the Gradebook, View, Actions, there's a search box, and there's also the gear icon. So let's start by clicking on the Gradebook link. That opens a drop-down with 2 options. The first option is Individual View. This brings us into the Individual View screen. This is the same screen that we could access from the gradebook in the previous version. There have been no changes. To return to the standard gradebook view, click on the Gradebook drop-down and select Gradebook. The second option under Gradebook is Gradebook History. Again, this takes us to the Gradebook History, which has not been changed from the previous version of the gradebook. And then we'll click on Grades to return to the standard gradebook view. The next option is View. From View, we can access Arrange By, Filters, Statuses, or Columns. Arrange By allows us to arrange our gradebook by assignment name in alphabetical or reverse alphabetical order, by due date, oldest to newest or vice versa, by points, low to high, high to low, or by modules from first to last or vice versa. Note that this is the order that the modules appear on the modules page. This is not alphabetical order. The Arrange By setting doesn't stick, so if you want things to appear in the same order, some order other than the default order, you'll have to set your Arrange By options each time you access the gradebook. The next option is Filters. Here I have the option to filter based on assignment groups or modules. However, if you only have one assignment group, or if you only have one module, or you're not using the modules page at all, you may not see one or both of these options. So let's start with assignment groups. I can click on that option to activate the filter for assignment groups. When that option is activated, a new drop-down menu will be displayed next to the search box. In the drop-down menu will be each assignment group that has been created in my assignments area. If I select Discussions here, the gradebook will be filtered to display only those assignments that have been placed in the Discussions group on my assignment page. Note that if I place a discussion board in a different assignment group, that discussion will only appear when the drop-down has been filtered to that assignment group. This is filtering based on the organization that I set up in my assignments page and not by tool type. You can further filter your gradebook by also activating the modules filter. Now I can filter not just to discussions, but I can also limit my display to only those discussions that appear in, say, Module 2. Or if I'd like to display all assignments that appear in Module 2, I can click on the Assignment Group drop-down and change that back to all assignment groups. The filter option settings do remain, so even if I turn off the filters by going here to View and clicking on Filters and turning off assignment groups, those filter settings do still remain. To return to the full gradebook default view, I have to activate the filters and make sure that they're both set to all modules, all assignment groups. Then I can come back to View and I can check on those filters again to deactivate them. The next option is Statuses. There are 5 statuses: late, missing, resubmitted, dropped, or excused. Each status has its own color code, and by clicking on the 3 dots on the right side of each status, I can change those colors if I'd like. These statuses also show up in the grades area for the students. The students do not see the color codes, but they will see a flag with whatever status applies to their submission or lack of submission. The last option is columns. Notes columns can be added to your gradebook view. The notes are visible only to teachers. Only about 17 characters will display in the preview from the default gradebook view, but if you click on the box, you can see more text. This is mostly good for short notes for things such as noting dual credit students or giving yourself a reminder for student accommodations, things like that. The unpublished assignments option toggles between showing and hiding assignments that are unpublished. The next drop-down menu is Actions. The first option allows you to import files to update your gradebook. Imported files should be obtained by using this second option on the list, which is Export. Export allows you to export your gradebook in a CSV file that can be opened and modified in Excel. After you've modified and saved the CSV file that you get from IvyLearn, when you go to close the file, you'll be prompted again to save it, even if you already have saved it. You must click Save there and then select Save as Type CSV, delimited, and give your file a new name or select the existing file on your computer and replace it. If you click Don't Save in that prompt, your file won't be stored on your computer in the proper format, and then you won't be able to upload that file back to IvyLearn. So you must click Save, then Save As, create that new file each time you modify the file before returning to this drop-down menu here and clicking Import. When you import the file, IvyLearn will display a list of all the changes that will be made to your gradebook, including grades that were changed, new assignments that were added, etc. This applies both to the new gradebook and also to the old gradebook. Once you've created an export file, you'll see an option here at the bottom for previous export, which will allow you to download the most recent gradebook export. Note that any changes made to the gradebook between the date listed on the previous export and the current time will not be present in that previous export file. The search box allows you to limit the display to only certain students by typing in the name of that student. For example, if I type in Ariel, the Grade Center will only show Ariel test student. And you can remove that search criteria to return to the full default Grade Center view. In the previous version of the gradebook, we had a gear icon, but this one is very different. Clicking on the gear icon in the new gradebook brings up gradebook settings. The first setting allows us to automatically assign grades for submissions that are missing as of the due date set for the assignment. Note that the missing submission grade percentage is what percentage of the possible grade will be awarded to any missing submissions. 0% means the student earns 0% of the points possible, and 100% means that the student earns 100% of the points possible. If you're using the missing submission grade option, it should always be set to 0. The next option is to automatically apply point deductions to assignments that are submitted after the due date set for the assignment. This option is not recommended for courses that have already begun. This option will affect previously graded submissions, so if your class is in progress and you've already done some grading and already done score deductions manually, this will deduct again from those already reduced scores. Likewise, if you give a student an extension without first adding a new due date on the assignment itself for that student, this will deduct points even if you intend for the student to have full credit. When you set this up, you can create graduated point deductions based on how late an assignment is submitted. When you grade an assignment, you'll grade it as though it were submitted on time, and IvyLearn will do all of the math for you. And of course, the lowest possible grade should always be 0%. In the Grade Center itself, some slight changes have been made to the individual grades. When you click on a grade, you'll now see a square icon with an arrow in it. Clicking on that icon brings the assignment's information up on a pop-out on the right side of the screen. Information on that pop-out includes the student's name, assignment information, a link to SpeedGrader, the grade including any penalties, the status of that assignment, as well as any comments that have been added for that assignment. A number of things can be done on the screen. The grade can be changed, Though the assignment submission cannot be seen from this screen, you have to go into the speed grader in order to view the actual submission. You can also change the flag on an assignment. Say we give a student an extension, but we didn't edit the assignment to officially give the extension within IvyLearn. We can change the status here from late to none. Making that change will remove the late penalty calculations and also change the color of the cell in the gradebook from blue to no color. And that will also remove the flag from the student's gradebook view as well. To bring up SpeedGrader, click on the SpeedGrader link, and that part of the gradebook has not changed. In conclusion, the new gradebook cannot be turned off once it has been turned on, so the switch to the new gradebook is a permanent one. If you would like to use the new gradebook and you're certain about that decision, you can activate the new gradebook by scrolling down on the course navigation menu and clicking on the settings link. On the settings page, you can click on the feature options tab and look for the new gradebook beta option. On the right hand side, you'll see a toggle switch to turn on that option. Note that in this sample course, the new gradebook has been turned on and the toggle switch is no longer available.